What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another weather forecast by Asian Weather Forecast, and we have some pretty significant updates on what's going on right now in the North Plains. Blizzard warnings have just been issued across portions of South Dakota and as well Minnesota, as we are watching out for blowing snow for the next few hours as we get to the overnight uh, part of the day. We're gonna be watching out for some whiteout conditions and overall some really cold temperatures. So we're gonna be going like basically a wintry wonderland, but really not going to be enjoyable whatsoever. I mean, like I said, blizzard warnings have been issued. We're going to be watching out for basically around a foot of snow to continue to fall across portions of Minnesota and as well portions of North Dakota. We are watching out for some really nasty conditions, and we have some new updates. So if you guys live in this general area, I would recommend you guys watch this video and as well share it if you know any friends or family that live in this area, as I have a lot of updates on what's going to go down tonight across this portion of the United States. But without further ado, let's get to the detailed forecast. So here's the latest look now at the National Weather Service, and for the first time this year, we are seeing our red counties being obviously issued across at least one county for the United States for the first time this year. So we have blizzard warnings for portions of far northeastern South Dakota and far western Minnesota. That's we're basically just to the east of the high wind warnings we currently have in place for the 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts we are watching out for. So we have blizzard warnings in place for a portion of Wheattown, Minnesota, right on the border of South Dakota. Sisseton, Millbank, and Watertown, South Dakota, are all under of the around 7 to 8 counties are currently under this blizzard warning. Again, we are watching out for some very nasty conditions. Going to be seeing basically January type conditions currently that we're usually going to be seeing now in early November. So although we are not watching out for the most amount of snow to actually fall, where these blizzard warnings are, the most amount of snow is actually going to fall closer towards that low pressure, which is a little bit near Duluth, Minnesota. That's where near like International Falls and area eventually towards southern Ontario. That's where a lot of that main snow is going to be around over a foot. We're going to be watching out for basically as maybe max 4 to 5 inches across this general area, a little bit just towards the South Dakota portion of this blizzard warning. So although we're not seeing too much snow, people typically think about blizzards being feet of snow and in strong winds. But in this case, where obviously you only need gusts up towards around 30-ish miles an hour for a constant, I believe it's 4 hours or something like that. But obviously we are fitting this criteria of gusts in excess of 50 miles an hour at times. It's going to be constant throughout the next few hours because obviously this low pressure is very strong. We're seeing a steepening low backing up. This is a very perfect scenario to see a blizzard warning to the southwest of that low pressure. Looking at snow will accumulate tonight over far south or far northeast South Dakota and western central Minnesota and continue through Friday morning. So only looking at around maybe 4 inches or so, but with that blowing of 50 mile an hour gusts, we're going to be seeing extremely dangerous and as well whiteout conditions. So the criteria actually for needing a blizzard is sustained winds or frequent gusts up to 35 miles an hour or greater, so it's just 5 miles an hour off. And that's exactly the reason why we have blizzard warnings. So we can very well call this a blizzard because it has high wind warnings, and we're gonna be seeing gusts up to 50 to 55 miles an hour. I mean, if we just click on central South Dakota, we're gonna be seeing if we actually look at the actual description of this high wind warning. Let's actually scroll through. We're going to be looking at northwest winds at 30 to 45 miles an hour with gusts up to 70 miles an hour. So we're going to be seeing basically high-end tropical storm wind gusts with blowing snow and falling at a pretty heavy rate, because although we're not going to be seeing too much in this area, we are going to be seeing overall a heavy rate of it because this low pressure is going to be very steep and very strong. So we're going to be seeing some really steep overall accumulation, very rapid accumulation. But again, we do have high wind warnings, we have wind advisories, and now we have windstorm warnings towards far northern Minnesota. And that's actually, we're going to be seeing the most amount of accumulation actually towards portion near International Falls. That's actually, we're going to be seeing the highest snowfall accumulations. If we actually look at what we're going to be expecting here to actually look at the actual accumulations, we're looking at 8 to 12 inches of snowfall. Of course, going to be seeing some blowing snow, basically highs into the 30s, not getting out of the 20s tonight, maybe into the teens. But yeah, definitely a long night ahead across these areas. So like I said, low pressure is basically a little bit out, just a little east of the Duluth area. So that's where that really strong backing low pressure is. So obviously it's backing, so it's gonna start to move a little bit low to the northwest, and that's the reason why this cold front was actually eventually able to meet up with that cold front. You can kind of tell there we have that kind of that really warm air advection towards this area is where we still have this really warm weather into the 60s and 70s today, and then we have very cold temperature. I mean, look at the overall difference we have basically from we're basically looking at really from maybe 64 degrees, 72 degrees with dudes in the 60s and 50s to now. I mean, look at this. Look at this, for example. We're seeing here 64 degrees and 55-degree dew points ahead of the cold front right along the tip. And if we go just outside, we're looking at 52 degrees and 55-degree dew points, so around a 12-degree difference. And look at look at areas far into the cold front there in that cold area advection. We're seeing temperatures or into the 30s as well into the 20s, and we're gonna start seeing some really cold there. But again, here's the actual main area of below freezing temperatures centered across North Dakota and far northern Minnesota. You can still see areas across near Aberdeen as well in central Minnesota are still in the upper 30s. But as this cold front continues to go on tonight, we're going to start seeing these overnight lows kind of coming in, and that's where these the higher 30s will convert towards the lower 30s, and that's where a lot of snow is going to start accumulating a lot more as this front continues. And of course, seeing some really heavy rain, a large squall, kind of a not a squall, but a large line of just storms along that cold front, and that's going to come in towards the southeast overnight as well. So let's now get a look at the latest look at the A+R model. So here's a kind of current look, of course, bringing that really heavy snow towards the northwest of that actual low pressure. So you can see that really heavy snow, whiteout conditions. Of course, the strongest winds are going to maintain in this general region because, of course, that's where the actual amped up winds will start to turn to the south or turn to the southeast. But still seeing some pretty strong winds. But we only have winter warnings across this area because of the very heavy snow and the lighter winds. But still whiteout conditions basically across portions of the far northern Minnesota. As we go in the overnight hours, a lot of this rain is going to start to diminish as these temperatures dramatically drop. You can kind of tell we're seeing a lot of rain right now because of basically being still in the upper 30s across this area. But as this cold front catches up in the next few hours, a lot of this is going to start to become basically just fluffy snow. So as this low pressure continues to push back to the back to back a little bit further back to the west, that's going to allow for that really heavy precipitation, that really heavy snow to move to the west as well. And that's going to, as well, eventually, once this low pressure kind of fully rotates and starts to move to the east, all that snow is going to kind of wrap around behind it and start to turn to the southeast. So watching out maybe for some snow showers overnight into tomorrow morning across maybe western Wisconsin, but that main snow tomorrow morning will basically be the hearth of it will be towards central and southern Minnesota. So you're gonna have to wait your turn if you're in Detroit Lakes or if you're in, for example, maybe the Twin Cities. You're gonna have to wait your turn for the next 12 hours or so, as well as still watching out for some additional snowfall tomorrow morning across areas under those windstorm or under those blizzard warnings. The heavy snow will kind of develop within as we get basically just towards around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock tonight, but going to continue to see that snow really towards really, I'd say maybe 5, 6 a.m., but going to continue to see some snow bands as a result of that remaining moisture, but seeing some really heavy snow towards northern Iowa as well. Can see some really good snow across northern Iowa as this low pressure continues to kind of rotate. So a lot of the snow is going to kind of just be all because this low pressure backs up, cold front catches up, and then, of course, that cold air is going to be really there, and the highs really won't get out of the 30s because of how deep and how significant that cold air advection is. The overall snowfall accumulation, according towards the A+R, they have a big block. Like I said, the most amount is going to stay towards northern Minnesota and far northern North Dakota. Going to be seeing up to basically 13.4 inches across far northern Minnesota. Could very well see maybe 2.4 inches near Duluth, and as we go further northwest of that low pressure, that's where the heaviest snow is going to be because it's in the coldest area, and as well, since that low pressure really steepens and as well drops in pressure, that snow rate will continue to increase, and it's going to obviously increase nowhere but northwest of that. So going to be watching out for some really good snow near International Falls, far southern portions of Ontario, as well as some good snow possibly for Winnipeg And of course, going to be seeing some good snow still, maybe additional 3 to 6 inches across North Dakota. Good snow for Grand Forks and Fargo. Some additional snow for Bismarck, maybe an inch or so, and as well, watching around 4, maybe 5 inches of snow across far northeastern South Dakota, where we have those winter warnings, and of course, maybe a trace as far south as portions of Nebraska, maybe near Valentine, Nebraska, maybe some good snow, possibly maybe a first trace of the year for Des Moines, Iowa City, possibly some good snow towards a portion of Rochester. Maybe it's gonna be very scattered. Once you get basically west, once you get east of basically central Minnesota, basically anywhere here, it's gonna be these totals are gonna be varying every single update because that's gonna be basically just those little small snow bands, basically like you see here. It's gonna kind of be mainly those snow bands. So that's gonna be obviously very hard to forecast. So these totals are going to be varying. So maybe one area can get 2 inches and you get nothing. So it's going to be very scattered. It's going to be right depending on where these bands actually take themselves. But maybe some snow for Minneapolis, Twin Cities, maybe some snow. But the main snow will be towards Minnesota and the Dakotas. Let's now get a quick look at what the NAM 3 kilometer wants to have. Very similar thing. There you have that. You kind of spot the cold front. It's going to be basically right here. Warm front going to be basically right here, occluded front like right here on that triple point, and of course to the northwest of low pressure, that's where that heavy snow is going to continue. But as this low pressure backs up, so will that snow. So they're going to be seeing some more snow. I mean, we've been seeing snow across North Dakota since late this morning, so it's going to continue to drop as the low pressure continues to back to the west. So some good snow still for Aberdeen, for Watertown, for portions of Bismarck, Grand Forks. And of course, as we go later on into tomorrow morning, that snow will eventually arrive across Iowa, Wisconsin, maybe some good snow towards Eau Claire, maybe some scattered snow showers for Madison, maybe even some snow showers for Illinois. I mean, the NAM 3 kilometer has us going a lot further southward. But of course, the worst conditions will be overnight across these general areas. That's where the blizzard conditions will actually be in place because there's really strong winds. But the other areas like Wisconsin, North Dakota, Iowa, you guys will basically just get that light snow as at that point the trough will be dramatically to the east, and that front. So it's gonna be scattered lack of moisture. It's gonna be the areas leftover moisture and how cold it is. It's gonna be just snow. So maybe some snow there for portions there of Davenport, Iowa, Madison, towards Rockford, even Chicago may get some snow showers, and then possibly even some snow showers making their way towards basically tomorrow night across Indiana, Michigan. I mean, there's definitely a chance we can very well get some more snow across some scattered areas and expected. So it's gonna be this is gonna be like this one system where it's really hard to forecast outside the hearth because we don't know where these snow squalls can go. We just don't know too much. But here's a look at the overall NAM 3 kilometer and what they have. So obviously taking a lot further south than what the overall ARRR wants to. Here's the ARRR. We actually look a little bit further out what they want. You can kind of tell it's a little further. It's a little further south. We actually compare. So let me actually delete this and just compare. It's a little further south now, getting some snow accumulation as far south as maybe Kentucky. But the ARRR does have a lot more towards Nebraska, and it does have a lot more towards Michigan. You see some really heavy snow squalls there. If we go towards maybe the Great Lakes, let me get to the Great Lakes real quickly here. If I can actually find, there we go, the Great Lakes. The ARRR really wants some really heavy snow squalls across Michigan. Like I said, it's gonna be very all over the place. We have no idea where these snow squalls can go, but I mean the ARRR really wants some really heavy snow across Michigan. Let's say the least. I mean, getting up towards basically a foot across Michigan. That's obviously most likely not going to happen, but you can kind of tell. We can just compare the ARRR with the NAM. Maybe a chance for maybe half an inch to maybe an inch near Chicago. Possibly, again, it's all going to be from squalls, not from the ash storm itself. It's going to be it's kind of branching off the main storm. But you can kind of tell there is some similarities areas to the east of Lake Michigan, specifically actual Michigan itself is going to get really the kind of hearth, the second hearth. So it's going to be very interesting, as well as some scattered areas of maybe nearly 4 inches across Wisconsin, Illinois, and even Indiana. It's a little bit less dramatic towards the NAM 3 kilometer, but NAM actually having a lot more snow towards Aberdeen, getting as high as 6 to 8 inches. That will obviously be a lot more blizzard-like, as well as seeing some maybe more snow towards The Twin Cities getting around 3 inches across some areas, but again, it's gonna be very, very uneven. Maybe a chance for some snow near Detroit. I mean, it's gonna be all over the place. There's gonna be snow squalls all over the place. Who knows, Kentucky, Missouri, because this cold front is gonna be so widespread, and this front's still gonna be so large that the snow could practically go anywhere, really. As we look at the temperature, like I said, seeing some temperatures right now in the upper 30s across Boston, Minnesota. The areas with actual below freezing temperatures are going to be North Dakota right now and to northern Minnesota. And as we go in the overnight hours, these will dramatically drop, obviously, as we get to the next 8 hours or so, 9 hours. Going to start seeing these temperatures now dropping into the 20s. That's going to be another big reason why the snow wraps around like a warp and just kind of continues to drop snow. That's going to be another reason, like I said, the cold front. You can still see it's still above freezing across this area, across even the Twin Cities, still above freezing. But as we go just a few hours later, they now drop into below freezing and seeing some 21 degrees there. So as we get towards Friday morning, the temperatures will continue to drop now, getting to the 20s across far northern Iowa, and that's going to be another big reason why they're going to get some snow opportunities. But you got to think about if it snows across Wisconsin or Illinois in these scattered areas with these snow squalls, it's gonna have to be relatively cold, and it can't be like 40 degrees and expect that accumulation. So that's where you're gonna have to kind of use Kuchera snow to actually get a look at what they actually predict with the actual temperature. So if we look at Kuchera, you can see there's a little bit different. You can kind of tell a lot less dramatic and a lot less further south, because Kuchera actually includes the actual temperature. So you can be seeing a lot less snow. No, only 0.2 for Chicago area, while it has maybe nearly an inch for portions of Rockford. So you can tell Kuchera is going to be something very important to look at. They still have, though, that heavy snow across Michigan. They actually have a lot more snow than for areas in South Dakota or North Dakota once you actually include the temperatures with it. Same thing here. We go to Kuchera. Actually, they don't have Kuchera for the HRR, so I can't actually use the Kuchera comparison there. But again, these temperatures are going to get really cold. And then let's now look at the winds. Obviously, winds are going to be very strong right now. Actually, gusting, like I said, up towards 50 right now across South Dakota. And that's going to kind of be seeing that really trough really coming in, that really strong southwesterly flow. And as this low pressure backs up, the snow's going to meet up with it. Eventually, going to be seeing some really strong winds. Of course, going to be seeing actual sustained winds of 30 miles an hour. And you only need gusts up to 35, but this gust will be really high. I mean, going to get some sustained winds of up to 40 miles an hour. This is sustained, but as we get to the actual gust itself, let's look at the wind gusts and look at these wind gusts. Absolutely immense. So we're going to be seeing wind gusts up towards the 50s, maybe even the 60s. So this is exactly why this is the area of the blizzard warnings, because that's where that strongest winds will be. And as we get towards a little later on, obviously it will calm down dramatically, and that's why these blizzard warnings aren't going to be much more widespread. Maybe there is a chance these blizzard warnings could become further widespread into southwest Minnesota, maybe far northern Iowa, but that's a little bit more of a stretch. And then it's very quickly take a look at what they have for the second storm. So let's see what they have for the second trough. And the GFS is actually uptrending this event a lot more than it was earlier. Actually was downtrending dramatically, specifically 2 days ago, but now they had it uptrending once again. So it's still by the 13th, seeing that really heavy snow coming in by the morning across this very similar area as we're talking about right now, and towards Minnesota, obviously the Dakotas. It's going to be a lot more different. That this is actually going to be going basically straight to the south, like a normal November system. So that low pressure is going to cross. And since it's cold fronts already far down here at this point, we're not going to really have to worry about a cold front having to catch up. So it's going to be very normal. That snow is going to basically be towards the east and northeast and even north. And then watching out for some really good snow across a portion there of Minnesota, Wisconsin, of course, by Sunday, Michigan, and then, of course, a little bit later on. And this is the European, though. But if we now look at what the GFS wants, the GFS actually wants a lot more significant. This is the European. European wants that really heavy snow for Michigan. For Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. And then it kind of gets rained out as temperatures increase. But the GFS wants a lot more again. At first I thought I was looking at the GFS, but I was wondering why it was so detailed. But I was like, oh, this is the European. So let me show you guys how much the actual GFS is uptrending. So here's now look at the GFS. So here is obviously the low pressure entering. It's a little bit further south than the European, but still getting that snow across Minnesota, portion of North Dakota. You can just tell. Look at that, dramatically uptrended since yesterday. Seeing some dramatically heavy snow across portions of northern Illinois, southern Michigan, southern Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, northern Idaho, or not Idaho, sorry, Indiana. I mean, actually, there is still snow for northern Idaho, so that kind of still counts. But you can tell, I mean, it's definitely gone back to what it was showing like around 3 days ago. So really heavy snow, of course, as it's cold fronts dramatically to the east. Not going to worry about anything. And then getting some really good snow now, eventually for portions of Michigan by Sunday. This is going to be Sunday morning. And by the late afternoon or early afternoon, going to be seeing some snow across Green Bay, portions of Traverse City, Toledo, Detroit, going to get some snow as well. So we're going to be watching out the chance maybe for our first ever this year NFL snow games possibly in Green Bay. So that's going to be very fun for the snow lovers, and then it kind of gets rained out a little bit later. So it does get rained out like the European, but a lot later. And we look at the actual snow accumulations. We're going to skip the first storm, go straight to the second one. And this is exactly what they want. Let's actually look very detailed way. Let's go look at the Ohio Valley. So there you see, looking at some really heavy snow. It's definitely uptrended, looking at around 9 inches, maybe even 10 inches across Michigan, getting some good snow for Milwaukee. I mean, getting up to 4 inches for Chicago, getting up to some really good as well. Additional snow in the lake effect, getting up to half a foot. So definitely really good snow ahead for a portion of the second storm, and most likely will become windstorm Atticus, as it will bring in snow for, if it verifies as this, it will bring in snow for Detroit, Milwaukee, Chicago, Cleveland, Syracuse, the Twin Cities, of course, so in Madison as well. So it's just most likely will become windstorm Atticus.